Are you keeping a secret right now? Maybe something nobody knows about you? Then pay close attention. Your brain is literally being modified right now because of it. And it's not just psychological, it's physical, measurable, scientifically proven. In the next few minutes, you'll discover what really happens inside your head when you keep a secret for too long. How it affects your memory, your emotions, and even your physical health. And more importantly, you'll learn what to do to protect your brain from this silent overload. If you leave this video now, you'll continue suffering the effects without even knowing it. So stay until the end, because your mental health may depend on it. Let's start by understanding what a secret is to your brain. When you keep information you can't share, your brain doesn't simply file it away in a mental drawer and forget about it. Actually, the exact opposite happens. Researchers at Columbia University discovered that keeping secrets constantly activates a specific brain region called the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. This is the same area responsible for controlling impulses, planning complex actions, and making difficult decisions. The problem is that this brain region wasn't designed to work in permanent alert mode. It's like leaving an app running in the background on your phone. Eventually, the battery dies. In the brain's case, this battery is your cognitive energy. Studies show that people keeping significant secrets experience mental fatigue up to 40% greater than those who don't have heavy secrets to carry. Here's something fascinating and contradictory. The more you try not to think about your secret, the more your brain thinks about it. This is called the rebound effect of thought suppression. Discovered by psychologist Daniel Wegner in the 1980s. In the famous white bear experiment, he asked people not to think about a white bear. The result? Everyone obsessively thought about the white bear. With secrets, this effect is amplified. Your brain creates what neuroscientists call an ironic monitor, a part of your mind that's constantly checking whether you're about to reveal the secret. This monitor works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, consuming precious mental resources. That's why you can be doing something completely different and suddenly your secret invades your thoughts out of nowhere. Keeping secrets for extended periods causes real changes in your brain chemistry. Cortisol levels, the stress hormone, increase significantly. Research from the University of Notre Dame revealed that people with important secrets show cortisol levels 15 to 30% higher than normal throughout the entire day. But it doesn't stop there. Serotonin, the neurotransmitter associated with well-being and happiness, begins to decrease. This explains why those keeping heavy secrets frequently report feelings of sadness, anxiety, and even depression for no apparent reason. The secret is literally stealing your ability to feel joy. At the same time, dopamine levels become dysregulated. Dopamine is crucial for motivation, focus, and pleasure. When it's imbalanced, you may feel apathy, difficulty concentrating, and loss of interest in activities that were once pleasurable. Your brain has a limited processing capacity, like a computer with finite RAM. When a significant part of that capacity is dedicated to managing a secret, there's less left for other cognitive functions. Studies demonstrate that people keeping important secrets show 20 to 25% lower performance on working memory tests. Long-term memory is also affected. The hippocampus, a brain structure essential for forming new memories, is particularly sensitive to chronic stress. Elevated cortisol levels for prolonged periods can literally shrink the hippocampus, impairing your ability to create and retrieve memories. Furthermore, attention becomes compromised. You may notice you're more distracted, forget appointments, lose objects more frequently. This is uncoincidence. It's your overloaded brain trying to manage the extra cognitive load of the secret. Secrets create invisible barriers between you and other people. Even when you're surrounded by friends and family, part of you remains isolated, protecting the hidden information. This isolation has profound consequences for the brain. Human beings are fundamentally social creatures. Our brain evolved for connection, cooperation, and sharing. When you emotionally isolate yourself through secrets, it triggers the same brain circuits activated by physical pain. MRI scans show that the anterior cingulate cortex, a region associated with pain processing, lights up both when we feel physical pain and when we experience social exclusion or isolation. Researchers at the University of California discovered that people keeping important secrets have less satisfying relationships, not because they reveal less, but because the act of hiding creates an emotional distance that other people intuitively perceive, even without knowing about the secret. What happens in the brain doesn't stay in the brain. The chronic stress of keeping secrets manifests in real physical symptoms. Tension headaches are extremely common, caused by constant muscle contraction related to stress. Digestive problems appear because the brain-gut axis is directly affected by elevated cortisol levels. The immune system weakens. Studies show that chronic stress reduces lymphocyte production, cells fundamental to the body's defense. This means keeping secrets can literally leave you more vulnerable to infections and diseases. Sleep problems are almost universal among those carrying heavy secrets. The brain queue improperly shut down during the night because it continues processing and monitoring the secret, even during sleep. This results in fragmented sleep, less time in REM phase, and waking up tired, even after 8 hours in bed. Not all secrets affect the brain in the same way. Secrets involving shame, guilt, or behaviors that contradict your self-image are particularly harmful. They create what psychologists call cognitive dissonance, the mental discomfort of maintaining two contradictory ideas simultaneously. For example, if you see yourself as an honest person but are hiding a significant lie, your brain enters constant conflict, trying to reconcile these two realities. This conflict is extremely draining neurologically. Secrets related to trauma are another especially problematic category. When you remain silent about traumatic experiences, you prevent your brain from properly processing the event. The trauma becomes frozen in the limbic system, without adequate integration with the rational areas of the brain, perpetuating symptoms like flashbacks, hypervigilance, and intense emotional reactions. Keeping secrets frequently leads to rumination, the process of thinking repetitively about the same subject without reaching any resolution. Your brain gets stuck in a loop, analyzing and reanalyzing the secret, imagining scenarios of what would happen if it were revealed, remembering how the situation began. Rumination is particularly problematic because it reinforces negative neural connections. Every time you mentally review your secret with anxiety or fear, you strengthen the brain circuits associated with these emotions. Over time, your brain becomes more efficient at producing anxiety and worry, creating a downward spiral that's difficult to interrupt. Neuroimaging shows that people with a tendency to ruminate show hyperactivity in the medial prefrontal cortex and posterior cingulate cortex, areas involved in self-referential thinking and mental wandering. If you keep a secret long enough, we're talking months or years, your brain does unteaches function differently. It becomes structurally different. This is due to neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize its connections and structures. Longitudinal studies show that chronic stress, like that caused by keeping heavy secrets, can reduce gray matter volume in regions like the prefrontal cortex and hippocampus. Simultaneously, the amygdala, center of fear and anxiety, tends to increase and become more reactive. These changes aren't just correlated with psychological symptoms, they cause them. A smaller hippocampus makes stress regulation more difficult. A hyperactive amygdala intensifies fear responses. A reduced prefrontal cortex impairs impulse control and rational thinking. The good news: neuroplasticity works both ways. When you finally release the secret or learn to process it healthfully, your brain can begin to recover its normal structure and function. Keeping a secret means being constantly vigilant. You need to monitor your words, your facial expressions, even your social media. This constant vigilance is exhausting for the brain. The reticular activating system, part of the brain responsible for filtering information and maintaining alertness, goes into hyperactivation mode. Normally, this system helps you focus on what's important by ignoring irrelevant stimuli, but when you're keeping a secret, it becomes hypersensitive, making you pay excessive attention to anything that might be related to your secret. This leads to what neuroscientists call attentional bias. You disproportionately notice things related to your secret, even when they're rare or irrelevant. It's like when you buy a new car and suddenly see the same model everywhere. The difference is that with secrets, this bias amplifies anxiety and paranoia. So, what can you do if you're keeping a secret and recognize these symptoms? First, understand that you have options that don't necessarily involve revealing everything to everyone. Writing about the secret, even if just for yourself, can help significantly. Studies by psychologist James Pennybucker show that writing expressively about difficult experiences for just 15 to 20 minutes over a few days can reduce stress, improve immune function, and increase psychological well-being. The act of transforming thoughts into written words helps the brain process and integrate the experience. Selective sharing is also an option. You don't need to tell everyone, but confiding in a trusted person, a close friend, therapist, or counselor, can significantly relieve the cognitive load. Research shows that having just one person with whom you can be completely authentic drastically reduces the negative effects of keeping secrets. Therapy, especially approaches like cognitive behavioral therapy or EMDR for trauma-related secrets, can help your brain process the information in a healthy way, even if the secret is never publicly revealed. Mindfulness and meditation practices also demonstrate effectiveness. They don't make the secret disappear, but they train your brain not to enter rumination spirals, reducing amygdala reactivity and strengthening the prefrontal cortex. So what happens to your brain when you keep a secret for too long? In summary, it enters chronic stress mode, constantly consuming mental energy, altering your brain chemistry, impairing memory and cognition, creating social isolation that the brain processes as pain, manifesting real physical symptoms, and even changing its physical structure when the secret is maintained for extended periods. But here's the most important message: you're not stuck with this. Your brain is incredibly resilient and capable of healing. Whether through selective sharing, therapy, expressive writing, or other processing strategies, you can relieve this burden and allow your brain to return to healthy functioning. Secrets are part of human life, and not all need or should be revealed, but recognizing the real neurological impact they have is the first step to making conscious decisions about how to deal with them in a way that protects your mental and brain health. If this video helped you better understand what's happening in your mind, leave your like so more people can find this information, and subscribe to the channel to receive more science-based content about how your mind works and how you can better care for your mental health. Your brain health thanks you. See you in the next video.